Hi, this is Jason. I just wanted to address a common question or comment that comes up from people who've looked at my drinking video, which is entitled, Is My Drinking Normal? A lot of people look at this graphic here and they say to me or to themselves, I don't buy it. In my world, way more people are drinking than what this graphic suggests. Because this graphic is saying that 30% of people simply don't drink at all in a typical week, and that another 30% are drinking less than a full drink in a typical week, so maybe they're having a drink every other week, and it's really only the top 20 and 10% that are doing really most of the drinking. So people look at that and they're like, that is just not how I'm seeing things. There must be something wrong with the data. So today, I want to share with you two reasons why it might appear to you that people are drinking way more than the statistics suggest. First one's very simple. People who are very similar to each other hang out together. And so if you're in that top 20 or top 10% of drinkers in the US, it's very likely that your family members, your friends, and the places that you go to are filled with people who drink very much like you. So as you look around, you're thinking, man, people kind of drink like I do. Now, the second thing that's happening here is a bit more interesting. And it really is based upon the idea of cognitive biases, or when we have a bias in the way that we think. And cognitive biases function a lot like optical illusions. Now, here we have an optical illusion, and the authors of this optical illusion are calling it two lozenges, okay? And it appears to the human eye that the lozenge on the top is much darker than the lozenge on the bottom. It is an optical illusion, and it has a lot to do with the coloration right where the two meet, and then with the fact that the top is, or the background at the top is very different than the background at the bottom. However, if you take a black box and you remove that middle section there, a big part of the illusion goes away. Let me show you that. So a little bit smaller image here. Hopefully you can see this, but in the upper corner there, you can see there's a black box that has taken out all of that coloration where the two lozenges met, and now these two lozenges look way more similar to each other. To my eye, the top still looks a little bit darker than the bottom, and I think that has to do with the fact that the background at the top and the background on the bottom are two different colors, and if I use my hands to kind of block those out, then the illusion goes away completely at that point. I don't know if you can see these two circles that are kind of over here as well, and the center point of those circles looks very different in coloration. They're actually the same color. It's just the background around the circle, the center circle, makes the center look very different than it actually is. So cognitive biases and optical illusions both function without our awareness, and becoming aware of them doesn't change the fact that we're going to get suckered by them every time. So knowing that this optical illusion exists doesn't make it go away. Knowing that a cognitive bias exists doesn't make it go away, and it doesn't make us any less susceptible to it. So what I want to do right now is share with you a little clip of a video that is about the availability heuristic, or the availability bias.
This is the tendency to overestimate the likelihood of events with greater availability in memory, which can be influenced by how recent the memories are or how unusual or emotionally charged they may be. Most people who are terrified of being killed by terrorists don't lose a moment of sleep about being killed by lightning, even though they are many times more likely to die from being struck by lightning. Why? Because terrorist attacks are emotionally charged events that, as wrong as it sounds, has high entertainment value. When they occur, These events dominate the media for days and sometimes months, like in the case of 9/11. Based on this level of exposure, our emotions overpower our reasoning, and what is factually a statistical impossibility becomes a perceived strong possibility.
Okay, so what you can see is that when we estimate how likely something is to happen or how often it is happening, we don't base that estimate on a really thorough investigation collecting a representative sample. We estimate it based on what's available to us, what's easy to remember. And quite frankly, incidents of drinking and drunkenness stand out in our memory. They are more memorable than the hundreds of nights and millions of people who quietly didn't drink at all. If you think about a typical high school, there's going to be chatter and gossip in the halls about the big party last night that maybe 5% of the school population actually attended. If two kids go out behind the sports shed and they're smoking a joint, the chatter about that is it just stays in the memory and it's easier to recall than it is to recall the 500 students who didn't do that day after day after day after day. And so when we try and make estimates of how likely it is that people are drinking or how often they are drinking, it is heavily biased by what we can remember. And nights of heavy drinking, people who were out of control drinking, people who are knocking back a lot of beers, those things all stick out in a way that the person who's not drinking doesn't stick out in our memory. So that's how the availability heuristic can kind of skew our view of how much other people are drinking, even if we're not drinking all that much. So in future videos, I want to talk a little bit more about drinking, how you can quit, and so on. So look forward to our future videos as we discuss more about drinking. And please hit that like button and the subscribe button. That really helps the algorithm help other people find these videos. Thanks. Bye.